So getting money in and out of crypto can suck. And if you're in the US like me or an other commonly crypto restricted country, well then you also know how frustrating it can be to try to use a popular crypto exchange, only to see that they have blocked access to your country. But what if I told you there's a way around this, where you can get access to those restricted exchanges again through KYC verification? And what if this thing could also get you early access to potentially life-changing crypto pre-sales? Well, it can. But first, what even is KYC? Why do you want to get around it? Well, KYC, or Know Your Customer, is used by financial institutions to verify your identity by collecting your name, address, and photo ID and a bunch of other info. The idea is to prevent illegal activities like money laundering, fraud, or terrorism financing. But I think there is also plenty of governmental control reasons they do it, and then they use those other reasons to justify doing it in the first place. But either way, KYC is a reality and we have to deal with it. The problem that you've probably experienced is that strict regulations by whatever country you are in can often lead platforms to limit or deny services to you. For example, 6 months ago, I could use the MEXC exchange even though I'm in the US, and they didn't require me to do KYC to use their platform. But then because of fear of regulation, I guess, they decided to make KYC mandatory, and if you were in the US, they wouldn't let you have access to their exchange anymore. So I lost access. This was also the case for KuCoin and other exchanges that I was frequently using. But now I have access to those exchanges again. I got a Palau ID. And this is the secret sauce for me to get access to exchanges and platforms that would be nearly impossible for me to get access to because I am a US citizen. And what exactly is a Palau ID? Well, Palau, a small island country located in the Pacific Ocean, launched what it calls a digital residency program in early 2022. And apparently one of the things that they are known for in Palau is that many of them still use traditional navigation using the stars, wind, and natural cues to navigate the Pacific Ocean, which is pretty cool. And now another interesting thing about Palau is they have this ID program, which allows anyone around the world to get a valid government ID from Palau without having to travel there in person, even if you do travel there via a boat navigating by the stars or otherwise. And to be clear, this is an actual physical and 100% legit government ID. Here's mine. And ignore the whole no hat thing. The Palau ID is also Web3 compatible, meaning it can be represented as an NFT on the Ethereum network. Even Vitalik Buterin, one of the founders of Ethereum, purchased his own Palau ID back in January of 2023, apparently. So if you want to be just like Vitalik, get a Palau ID, I guess. The whole idea is that by using the ID, you gain access to all the platform services, pre-sales, etc. that are available to Palau residents, which is way more than we get access to in the US, as it turns out. So can a Palau ID help you bypass all these KYC restrictions? And the answer is yes, but there are some disclaimers I need to get out of the way. The Palau ID is merely an identification document, and it doesn't actually make you a Palau citizen. So please don't try to move there permanently based on getting this ID in the mail. But that's also good because owning this ID does not require you to pay any taxes to Palau. But you do still have to pay all the normal taxes in your country. So if you're like me in the US, well, you'll still have to pay all the usual IRS and state taxes. Uncle Sam's arms are far-reaching. And you still have to respect all the laws of your current place of residence or citizenship. So if you want one of these, what's the process to get one and how long does it take? With that disclaimer out of the way, getting a Palau ID is pretty straightforward. The first thing you have to do is go to their website and sign up for an account. And once you've done that, you'll have two ways that you can get the ID. The first way is you can just buy the ID directly. 1 year will cost you $248. You can also buy 5 years for $1,039 or 10 years for $2,039. Or the second way is you can buy a Voyager Pass NFT on OpenSea for roughly $150 to $300. But there is a big catch with the Voyager Pass NFT. You have to make sure that it hasn't yet been redeemed. But I'll tell you more about that in just a second. When I purchased my Voyager NFT a few months ago, you could still mint it. However, that public mint is now closed. And the main difference between buying the Palau ID directly and buying the Voyager Pass NFT is that the NFT comes with a few extra benefits like a complimentary 1 year Palau ID, 150 RNS points, and a 40% discount on how you use those RNS points. If you decide to buy the Palau ID directly, you select the period in which you want to buy it, and will then be redirected to a page where you can pay with either credit card or crypto. I personally think that buying the Palau ID for just 1 year is the best value because most crypto exchanges will only require KYC just once. And I only bought the 1 year plan, and I just did all my KYC applications immediately when I received my physical ID. If you do have to complete KYC again in a few years, it will likely be cheaper just to buy a new Palau ID then. On the other hand, if you buy the Voyager Pass from OpenSea, the process is similar, but you need to do a couple of extra steps. First, and the very most important, is if you buy an NFT on OpenSea, you need to make sure it is unredeemed before you buy it. Otherwise, you won't be able to use it to get your Palau ID because whoever bought that NFT originally already did that. To check the redeemability of the Voyager Pass, refer to the official guide I have linked in the description. Then once you have the Voyager Pass NFT in your wallet, you can then go buy the Palau ID. And then from there, you'll be redirected to the same checkout page. You will need to connect the wallet containing your Voyager Pass and use it to redeem the Palau ID with the discount. And make sure you don't miss this step because otherwise you will have to pay the full price for the Palau ID. Next, you need to fill out their application and complete KYC by uploading a picture of yourself and an ID such as a driver's license or passport. And then lastly, you have to do some facial recognition. Once this is all done, it will take 15 to 20 minutes to be notified if your KYC has been approved, and then 5 to 10 days for your application to be reviewed. It will then take another 3 to 6 weeks for you to receive your actual physical Palau ID card like what I have. And this really is the only big downside to all of this. It's not a very fast delivery process. But besides all that, that's all you have to do really. And there is a link down in the description to get a Palau ID. If you sign up using that link, I get RNS points, and I don't really know all of what I can do with those. I didn't get paid to make this video, and I don't get paid when you do sign up. I just thought this was helpful. It certainly was helpful for me, so I'm making a video about it. But the big question here is, which exchanges can you use with your new fancy Palau ID? Well, so far I've successfully passed KYC with MEXC, KuCoin, Bybit, BitGet, Pionex, BingX, Kraken, and a few others. These exchanges all fully recognize and accept Palau ID as a valid documentation. So there's nothing illegal happening here. You're just using an alternative ID to complete your KYC. Binance also accepted the Palau ID for KYC for a short period. However, unfortunately, they are only accepting passports for Palau residents now, which is a pretty big bummer. But all those other exchanges do still work and are still great to get access to. Also, apparently, Crypto.com has stated that they do not accept the Palau ID for KYC. Another huge reason to get this ID is for pre-sales. If you can buy into promising crypto projects early, you can make huge amounts of money if those projects do well. And since so many of these pre-sales require KYC and have restrictions for countries like the US, the Palau ID should open up this world to you just a bit more. I did hear from people recently that CoinList would not accept the Palau ID, so pre-sales like the recent one for Peak were a no-go. But other ones like the recent X-Borg pre-sale did accept the Palau ID. And honestly, this part is kind of hit or miss, but it's totally worth it if you do find a pre-sale that you really want to get into and they accept a Palau ID, especially if you wouldn't be able to get access otherwise. But then the question might be, what if exchanges stop accepting the Palau ID? And I have seen some people express concern that if an exchange stops accepting the Palau ID in the future, after you KYC, they might freeze your funds. However, I think it's much more likely that they would simply allow you to withdraw your funds and move to another platform. And of course, that's as long as the exchange doesn't fail, because historically they've been pretty good about letting you withdraw if they decide they want to stop providing services to you. But an exchange failure is a totally different thing. So overall, I'm not really all that concerned about this, especially since I never leave crypto on exchanges for extended periods of time, and neither should you. Keep all your crypto in a hardware wallet safe and sound, like in this video of mine. So all that's cool, but what's coming next for the Palau ID that might make this even more enticing to jump into? Well, while I've mostly been focused on what you can do on the crypto side with the Palau ID, it also has a bunch of other uses apparently. People have reported successfully using it for ID verification in places like pharmacies, the DMV, B&B style short rentals, mobile service providers, and hotel check-ins, just to name a few. Some people have even reported using it for background checks or even notarizing documents at a UPS store in Los Angeles, for example. There's links to lots of these little examples on sites like Reddit down in the description. Future benefits of the Palau ID could include the ability to get a physical address with a US zip code, proof of address via utility bill, a digital signature certificate, registering e-corporations, and even obtaining Palau phone numbers, maybe address and internet services. which many of these things, again, would be very helpful with things like pre-sale KYC. Overall, I think that the Palau ID at only $250 a year is a pretty big bargain. I was locked out of exchanges like MEXC, KuCoin, and others when they stopped offering their services to the US. Now I have full account access again thanks to this ID. When you tack on the ability to jump into some pre-sales with the two, it's kind of a no-brainer in my opinion. Crypto exchange KYC is interesting. But what if you want to make some passive income? Well, watch this video to see one of my latest crypto passive income sources that I'm exploring. Goodbye.